Bell rolls is the reporter thrown into the secretive world of the Forex Super Model, where nothing is as it seems. Beware the techno monk, and steer clear of Professor Code and his two assistants. Give the senior trader a wide berth, and don't expect any sense from the risk manager.
Good morning, I'm Professor Code and this is the Forex Super Model daily briefing for Wednesday the 16th of the 6th, 2021. The time is 0455 GMT, Asian session coming to a close, European session firing up, our lunchtime North American session. Right, Tuesday the 15th then, yesterday, negative unopposed driver in the pound at minus 90. No backdoor flows, the opposing positive flows mainly going into the euro plus 42, into the dollar plus 25, and the yen was the positive rocket plus 23, activity plus or minus 90. Intra-week then becoming more relevant, this is from Monday the 14th open to about 15 minutes ago. We've got a negative opposed driver in the yen at minus 145, front and backdoor flows mainly going into the euro at plus 94, into the dollar at plus 57, and the pound is the negative rocket minus 6, activity plus or minus 151. Intraday then, this is the Asian session to about 15 minutes ago. We've got a negative unopposed driver in the euro at minus 14. We've got a neutral rock in the yen at 0, positive flows going into the dollar at plus 8 and the pound at plus 6. So an activity plus or minus 14. So right, what's been knocking about, what's going to? Well, today is busy. We've got GBP CPI, China retail sales, ECB speech, Bank of Canada CPI, and then obviously tonight we've got the FOMC Fed rates decision and minutes. They've got the Bank of Canada speech. And the New Zealand GDP very late. So and then tomorrow, Thursday the 17th, we've got the AUD employment data and the Swiss rates decision, SNB, Swiss National Bank, and then Friday we've got the 18th, we've got JPY Bank of Japan rates decision. So ultra busy. Our trades are about 4,100 points in profit. So they've come back a little bit, they've deteriorated slightly, but they're not really moving much out of that range. So let's see what's been happening in the flows in the Asian session, and then look at the asset classes. So, right, Euro is weak, except against the Swiss. The yen is weak, except against the euro, the pound and the Swiss. The pound is weak, except against the euro and the Swiss. The Swiss is weak across the board. The CAD is strong, except against the AUD and the NZD, which are stronger. The AUD is strong, except against the NZD. The NZD is strong across the board, and the dollar is strong, except against the CAD, the AUD and the NZD, commodity currencies. Right, so what have we got? We've got Swiss weakness, New Zealand strength in the Asian session, but these moves are relatively small, so really it's just a bit of limbering up. Right, so let's look at the asset classes before we do the final analysis. Let's get rid of that. All right, so US dollar index basically looks roughly like that. It's 90.51. The dollar's come back from the double lows really. Gold is has come off. It's 0.34 from the high, whereas oil has is steaming on the up. it's plus 0.40 from the break. So it's strong. Wall Street sub highs, it's 0.26 from the high. S&P, the S&P, it broke and it's now come back to the resistance point. The tech has got a similar look to it. It's come back to the resistance point. So you got Wall Street sub high, S&P and tech broke and then come back to the resistance points. Right, US 10-year. Right, remember we had that whipsawing, and then we had this big push up in price, and it's now come back, so it's 0.4 from the high, and the bund sort of looks like that. It's 0.4 also from the high. Remember, these are prices, so basically the dollar's strengthened up the last few days in terms of yields, but the bund is now strengthening up as well, so the gap is relatively closing. So the dollar did come off a little bit eventually, like we thought, but it's probably pretty static now as we run into the Fed. Right, so what else we got? Copper. Copper is really 0.33 from the floor. So copper's really soft at the moment, it's come off. US steel, sort of, it's got that sort of look to it. It's 0.24 from the high. Right, soft, but not as soft as copper. Right, so let's just get rid of this and do the final analysis. So obviously all eyes are going to be later on the Fed and the Fed minutes and all the rest of it, the usual scenario. Right, so we're short and USD, dollar against the euro, the pound and the AUD, and we're short NZD against the euro, the pound, the CAD and the AUD. Right, so we said the AUD's got some in play with some data, as is the New Zealand dollar. The pound's got data out fairly shortly. The CAD's got the oil pump, so, and the pound there. So you're looking at, and the dollar's obviously the Fed. So basically, the whole sort of the whole macro environment is going to be very noise and data driven at the moment. We're just bashing on with our positions. So they're about 4,100 points in profit from a peak of 6,500. They should get going again. And we are still looking at this AUD NZD long as being the optimum trade eventually, but we'll see. But it will be eventually. It's just a case how long it takes to get going, and when eventually we'll be scaling into it because it's got the most scope. Right, so we'll just see how things go. It's likely that the dollar index will be parked at the opening, the daily opening, as we run into the Fed. So if you're short-term trading, you can get sort of a bounce either way, but ultimately it'll go back to base camp in our opinion. So anyway, I hope that was useful. See you again tomorrow for the daily briefing. Thank you very much.